Okay, well, let's preview this then, because 8 o'clock tonight, Paris Saint-Germain are currently 2-1 down. It's not a huge lead, Trevor, and towards the end of that game, and they had that opportunity to kill it off, and they didn't quite take it, Man City.
Yeah, just again, got the red card, so we had the advantage with men and just couldn't get over the line. I thought, and you've seen what he's got over the weekend, Aguero, with the way that he finished.
Wow, finish.
Like he'd not been anywhere. And I thought he would have brought him on and just unleashed him in the latter stages of that game. He didn't. He looked fresh and he looked sharp. I was listening to Dino do the commentary at the weekend, and you could tell from the early part of the game that Aguero had the bit between his teeth and he wanted to prove people that he's still about and he's still got pure quality. So that's always an option. Your guess is as good as mine what team he's going to play, because they make 7 or 8 changes pretty much every game they play. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a slight lead, but the way goals I think do count, and I'm optimistic without being overconfident.
I'm with you, mate. I'm optimistic as well for City, but without being overconfident. Going to ask you, Trev, if you're Poch, Woodsy asked me this question this morning, are you happier to see a Manchester City team with Aguero in it or with him not in it?
I think with him not in it.
Aye, so do I, mate.
Yeah, I just think, as well as that false number 9, whether it be Bernardo or whether it be Kevin De Bruyne playing out of position, as well as they've done at the top of the pitch, when you've got Aguero, you've just got pure jeopardy and danger and threat. And I'd be much pleased, much happier if he wasn't in the Manchester City team.
When you're looking at that side against PSG tonight, Pep was saying in the papers today, obviously the game will be better to have Mbappe in it, but he's got to be secretly thinking.
He can't mean that.
He means for the love of football sort of thing, but maybe not for the love of the Champions League.
I think contractually you have to say things like that, but deep down you're thinking, please
don't
have a day off.
How different will they be without him if he's not there?
Yeah, listen, for me, he's the best striker in the world. People talk about Lewandowski, but for me, when you look at him and the way he chops players up, he doesn't even need to have a good touch. His touch gets away from him, and as a defender, you think you're going to get there, and then he just chops you and he's gone. Pace is something that you can't teach, and it's something that in football is paramount, and he's got abundance of pace, and then when he gets in them final positions, he's clinical as well. So yeah, no, I think it's obvious that you want to play against the best teams, but if just for tonight,
Trev, tell me what you think. There was a couple of times last week where I was bursting to see a race between Mbappe and Walker. Right? And there was a couple of times it was as if Walker said, "Come on, then, let's have a look at you." What would you think?
I sense that. I sense Walker fancied the duel.
Yeah, I did. So did I. And
I think Mbappe. I think from a physical point of view, Kyle Walker's a joker.
Yeah.
He really is an unbelievable athlete, and I think he'd fancy his chances against anyone, and I think Mbappe included. But if there was a little bit too much distance, I think Walker could have a little sweat on to try and stay with him, because he's electric, he's pace. But yeah, looking forward to seeing this tonight. And Di Maria surprised me. He left Manchester United a little bit with his tail between his legs, and he seems to have problem-solving skills in all areas. And he's got the touches, he's got the flicks, and he's impressed me massively.
Trev, do you think this is kind of a little bit of a dream scenario for Manchester City? Because either way, PSG have got to score 2 goals. They've got to score 2, but they've also got to shut up shop the other end. Now, Manchester City on the counter-attack, especially the way they play, that might just play right into their hands if PSG overcommit going forward. Yeah,
I do think there's a scenario where City could blow PSG away and they could start, their self-esteem, their confidence could wane, and City could have a fantastic night. And listen, that's what I'm hoping for. But you get to this stage in the competition, and anything can happen. They could just be lit from day dot, and it could be a very uncomfortable night for Manchester City. But just the excitement is over me. And a little bit of a stat that I read earlier. Manchester City, if they get to the final, I think there's going to be 51 years between the last final they got in, and this final of a European tournament. So
Wow.
a little bit one for the fans that say we've got no history.
It's
a record.
Consistent.
Okay, go ahead. Can I ask? I know that you were sort of talking about Aguero and about the starting lineups potentially tonight. Sterling's not really been featuring in the Champions League games in terms of starting, coming off the bench for a few minutes here and there, but is starting in the Premier League. What do you make of that?
Difficult one to understand unless you're in the room. I think that there's obviously been a bit of negotiations that's been had about Raheem's contract, and then the form's not been great this season, on and off. He's not been showing the same kind of consistency, and the goals and the assists has not been as regular for Manchester City. And you have to say, Phil Foden's burst on the scene and he's been incredible. You know, he's one of them players that gets you on the edge of your seat every time he gets the ball. He's got amazing balance. I think people don't realise how fast he is with his acceleration. And he's caught a few out, and he had a particularly good game, I thought, against PSG, and especially when Manchester City got on top in that game. Yeah. I thought Foden was one of the key players that everything seemed to go through him and De Bruyne. So, no, it's I think competition for places. I think, you know, you heard Pep's statement, if you want to play every game and you don't want to be rotated, Manchester City might not be the club for you. And I think this is the way forward for Pep, because the amount of games that they've had to kind of put in and get in this season with a shortened season, and obviously the Euros coming, I think he's got it absolutely spot on with his the way that he's rotated his team. And listen, it helps when you've got two fantastic 11s, which a lot of the other Premier League clubs haven't. But he's worked it really well, and I think that's why you're seeing the results in the Premier League and the consistency that they've shown this season.